People with businesses here in the United States being shut down by the government. Unilaterally, some people deciding that other people's businesses need to be shut down, and without the consultation of those businesses, this is what's happening in an American city. We got a lot to talk about, friends. Let's jump into it. Welcome to the Poplar Report. I'm Steve Poplar. I'm an accountant by trade, and we cover things on this channel the mainstream media either doesn't want to cover or just is too lazy to. Let's go over to Philadelphia. First, they told us 2 weeks to flatten the curve. Remember that? And they said, we're going to step in and say Walmarts can stay open, but your mom and pop shops can't. We're going to say all these type of stores, they have to shut down because they're non-essential. But Walmarts and the Targets, they're allowed to stay open. Government decided that they could just, they had the power to decide which businesses could stay open, when they could stay open, how many people they could have in there in order to stay open. And like so many different things, when government seizes some kind of power or authority, they are going to use it again. And we said that at the time. We were saying that very clearly. They've done this once, and now they're going to do it again. If we let them do it once, they will find another excuse to do the very same thing. And here we are in Philadelphia, where businesses in the Kensington area of the city are now being banned from being open from 11 a.m. to 6 a.m. You say, well, Steve, if they're just going to ask all of the businesses that they're, to stay closed during those hours, so then that makes sense because, keeping people off the streets, okay. It's not like the government's picking winners and losers. Oh, but businesses with a liquor license, they pay money to the government for that liquor license. They're allowed to stay open till 2 a.m. Wait. So most businesses have to shut down between 11 and 6 a.m., but not all of them. Some of them don't have to. Yeah, basically. Just like the TikTok bill goes after, companies in general, and you say, well, no, it really just goes after TikTok. Does it? Then why in the world did one of the congressional members feel the need to put a carve-out in there that it was like certain, I forget exactly the specifics of it, but they put a carve-out in there that this did not apply to certain types of businesses, and it got pretty specific because one congressman or congresswoman didn't want their business to be impacted, so they decided that they would just decide that their businesses or businesses just like theirs would not be impacted. We're seeing this exact same thing carried out again and again, and unfortunately with increasing frequency, that government is now in the United States has determined that it has the right, it has the solemn obligation to choose which businesses operate and which do not. We're seeing this with the Amos Miller case over in Pennsylvania with the raw milk and all the kind of stuff like that. The government's main beef with it is that he hasn't gotten a license from the state of Pennsylvania. Since he doesn't have a state license from the state of Pennsylvania, he's not allowed to operate. And his point is, I don't need a license from the government in order to be a farmer. And the state of Pennsylvania disagrees with him, because the state of Pennsylvania says we have power to do everything. We own the world. You citizens belong to us. And that really brings into the question, are we really citizens? And we have a government? Or is there a government that has serfs or subjects? Yeah, there's a difference in wording there, isn't it? Being a subject is different than being a citizen. Being someone who has an opportunity to contribute and to have a say in how things are run, citizens. If you want to be a subject, you can go over to the UK, where they don't actually have a Bill of Rights. They don't actually have a constitution. Technically speaking, the government can do basically whatever it wants to. I know. They have rules. They have rules that say that they won't do this and that. But All those rules can be changed. I mean, the Constitution can be changed too, but we have to give our authority. We have to give our thumbs up to changes to the Constitution through our state legislatures, through referendums. But that's how it's designed, is that we're supposed to be citizens of this country. And yet we now have more and more of these ruling elites that are coming out and dictating which businesses can be open and which ones not. Now, in Philadelphia, they have good reason. Good reason. Just like years ago with the cough, they had good reason. 2 weeks to flatten the curve and all that. They said, we have, it is in the public interest for businesses to shut down, except for all the ones that contribute to our campaigns. All the big businesses that make a lot of money. All the small businesses need to shut down. And that somehow made sense back then to some people. I mean, to you and I, it did not make sense at all. And but you didn't really have an opportunity to speak out against it. Do you remember voting on those regulations? Do you remember voting? Was there a referendum in your state like, should we shut down all the businesses except for the large businesses that make lots of money? Nope. Nobody voted on that. Do you remember a bill passed by state legislatures on that point? Nope. Yep. I mean, it was just Department of Health at state levels and at the national level just decreed stuff. Someone got up to a podium and said, this is what we're going to do, and anyone who violates this, we're going to send the police after you. We're going to come in and shut you down. They will physically lock your doors. Remember that? Well, now what are they going to do? How are they going to enforce this in Philadelphia? What happens if a store decides that it still wants to be open till 11:30? The crime, right? The absolute crime. Or are they going to send the goons in then? What happens if a church wants to stay open a little later? What happens if they want to have an all-night vigil? Are they going to send in the troops to shut down the church? Philadelphia has some serious problems. Just so far this year, they've only had 63 homicides, and they're very, very excited about this, that only 63 people have been murdered so far this year in Philadelphia. It's better than last year. They had record high homicides in 2021. They came down in 2022 and 2023, in 2022, and then it came down a little bit more in 23. And so far this year, they're hoping it's going to be down again. Now, we've talked a little bit about this before, that a lot of the crime statistics are going down in some places because they're just not reporting them anymore. If you have people that die, but you don't call it a murder, well, then your homicides go down. It's just how that works, isn't it? Their drug overdoses are going through the roof in Philadelphia. And if you don't like somebody, if you just make it look like a drug overdose, well, then it's not murder anymore. It goes into the other statistics. And perhaps they just don't want to deal with this case, so they just move it over to that category. Steve, they would never do that. Yes, absolutely they do. And we've heard people sharing with us how much pressure people are under to change the ethnicities of the people involved in order to reclassify cases at the federal level so that the federal crime statistics look better. Yeah, they're being told to do that. They're reclassifying all sorts of things. Hey, when your funding is on the line, you report things however people above you want them to be reported, don't you? And we're seeing that across the board. Now, Philadelphia, so far this year, 63 homicides. Last year, which is the latest year that we actually have statistics on it, robbery rates were, with boomsticks, were up significantly, 11%. Of course, boomsticks are banned in Philadelphia, but why would that stop I mean, that clearly does not stop people from using them to commit crimes, even though they're banned. I mean, they're committing a crime having it, and then they commit a further crime by using it in a crime. So commercial burglaries, over 2,000 commercial burglaries. Over 15,000 cars broken into just last year. That's a pretty big number. 15,000 cars. That's like, I don't even know how to imagine that. Was it like a Super Bowl stadium or a big sports stadium, full parking lot, and every single one of those cars was broken into and had something stolen from it? That'd be the equivalent of what they've seen over the course of the year. That's a lot of cars. That's a lot of thefts, isn't it? Hopefully you don't have crime like that where you are. But Philadelphia has a reputation for being a bastion of democracy. Yes, for democracy's sake, you can commit any crimes you want to with very little repercussions. People being charged with crimes and then being let out with a slap on the wrist. But don't you dare open a business in Philadelphia. If you're a criminal, well, have at it, right? But if you're a business owner in Philadelphia, they're going to come in and tell you how you can operate, when you can operate. They're going to make you apply for permits, and they're going to make you pay fees and taxes out the wazoo. Just because you're a law-abiding citizen, they're going to abuse you. If you're not a law-abiding citizen, well, they know that they can't get you to do stuff, so they're just not even going to try. Oh, well, we could throw him in prison. He killed a guy, but, or we could just let him go. A lot less paperwork. They're really just going to probably still do the same kind of thing anyway. They're not a law-abiding citizen. Let's not really harass them. Let's spend all of our time and all of our energy and all of our money harassing the people that actually try to follow the rules. Actually try to follow the laws. They don't shut down the drug dealers from 11 p.m. to 6 a.m. They wouldn't do that. No. The drug dealers are allowed to stay open from 11 p.m. to 6 a.m. But not the stores. If you want to sell milk and eggs, no. Can't do that. But you can sell the Coke. You know what I'm saying? You can sell whatever you want on the street if you're doing it illegally. So, I don't know. Maybe we're going to see drug dealers in Philadelphia, have some bread under their coat. Like, hey, you want some bread? You want some munchies to go with that? It's on principle. And I think that's where this is really important. Is you may look at that and go say, well, with the crime rates in Philadelphia, it makes sense that they shut down businesses from that period to that period. But I want you to put your hat on and imagine you're that small business owner struggling to make ends meet, and you're being dictated by the government. You're already paying for all the privilege of doing business in the state of Pennsylvania. You're paying for the privilege of doing business in this in the city of Philadelphia. Heaven forbid you sell soda because, the soda tax. And then you have all these other things all these hoops you have to jump through. They're making it harder and harder to do business. And when it comes to the government just stepping in and saying, and furthermore, this isn't a fee, this isn't something you have to apply for, but we're just going to shut down your business when we feel like it. On principle, what's the difference between shutting down businesses from 11 p.m. and 6 a.m. versus shutting down all businesses from noon to 11:59 a.m. so that businesses can only be open for one minute per day? Is it really something different? You say, well, that's not reasonable. Friends, what's reasonable tends to keep moving. If there isn't a principle, if it's not, the government's not allowed to do that. Or the government needs to actually get permission the government can ask businesses to shut down. I'm all for that, right? If they want to ask businesses politely, hey, if you want to shut down, that would help the city out, cool. But they're not doing that. They're legislating. They're taking away people's rights, usurping those rights with the authority of tyranny. That's really what it is. What happens if these guys try to stay open? They're going to have the police state showing up at their door. And if they're like, well, I'm going to stay open anyway, you need to leave my store. Well, the goons are just going to come back with tanks, bigger guns. The police will come back. You can't resist them. You can't get a petition going. Nope. When they rule this way or that way, you have to obey, or else they will come and use force to shove it down your throat. They won't just stick a thing on your door. They will come and lock your door like they did back during the cough. Friends, this is where it's going, and this is where it's going to be. What happens when this doesn't work? Are they going to change it from 11 p.m. to 6 a.m.? Are they to something more like 6 p.m. to 6 a.m.? What's next? Are other cities going to do this? Is you going to go out to the store late at night and find your store shut down wherever you live? Because your state's like, hey, if they can do it in Philadelphia, we can do it here. A lot to think about. These principles are important. Where is the boundary of what government is allowed to do? At what point do we as citizens just have to say no? Let me know what you guys think down in the comments down below. Thanks so much for watching. If you want to check out another video from this channel, there's one right up here. I'll see you over there, or I'll see you guys later. Steve Poplar of the Poplar Report, out.